It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Let's talk about something I resemble. 40s. I'm going to miss the days when
I'm
this
about to
goes
say,
away.
you only have a little bit longer you get to say that, but I love it.
So this is the part, it really is a fork in the road moment. We have, if you've done it right, if you've found something like the Money Guy Show and you started saving in your 20s and even 30s, you're probably getting to your 40s and be like, this is a celebration. This is when I can start looking at how my army of dollars has started building. This might also be the time if you've actually just ignored all of that and you're kind of late to the game. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to tell you, you have to get very purposeful if you're behind, because I don't want you to get on the bitter train.
That's right.
This is the age where I find people have the midlife crises. This is the age where they start telling younger people, their coworkers, all the system's against you. And it's not. I don't want you to get on the bitter train. I want you to get inspired so you can actually start creating wealth for yourself as well.
So if you are someone in your 40s and you're beginning to do your net worth statement or you're starting your net worth statement, we've talked about how earlier in your life you want to focus at the different components. This is the part where you want to start looking at the bottom line. In your 40s, you really do care about what is my net worth. If I take all the things that I own and I subtract out all the things I owe, what is my net worth? That's where you want to focus your effort and attention in your 40s.
Well, you got to have a plan. I mean, it's one of the things we're just based, and you just said this, Bo, we're focused in the 20s and 30s on the components. And that's kind of like in a financial plan. You don't, because a financial plan is going to have retirement planning. It's going to have estate planning. It's going to have college planning for the kiddos. It's going to have all that encompassed. It's not just those individual pieces. If you're in your 40s and you're looking at your spouse or you're kind of looking at your net worth statement that you just created and you go, man, this thing doesn't feel like it's cohesive. It's not working together. I don't really know what I'm working to. I don't know what my why is.
Sure.
You've got a problem. Focus on what the financial plan is for you. In your 40s, this is so important because you're starting to also realize, hey, I kind of can see when retirement's going to be, or when I don't even have to use the word retire. I just want to be financially independent. I better make sure the components are lined up to get me to where I need to be.
Now, the beautiful thing about having that plan in place is that if you've had the plan in place in your 40s, it gives you an opportunity to say, okay, I'm at the place where I want to maybe take my foot off the pedal. Maybe I can back down. Maybe my plan is ahead of where I thought it would be. Or if you're someone doing this and maybe you're behind, this is the moment where you get to say, okay, I can still adjust course. It's not too late. There's a fork in the road and I can choose to maybe take the harder path, maybe take the harder road, but I still have plenty of time for financial independence and wealth building, even in my 40s.
Well, and you can do spot checks, you can do safe withdrawal rates, figuring out what you think you want to have in retirement, how many years you are to get there, spot check it. But also, I want to give one more lens, because I think this is a decade of clarity of your mindset, is I want you to look through every decision you make in your 40s as, what is this decision going to do 10 years, 15, 20 years? Because this is the decade I worried about divorce. I worried about midlife crises. I worry about, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And the fact that, you're always going to have somebody that has more money. Should you buy the second house? I mean, should you upgrade to your big house that you're already raising the kids in? Because think about, I'm getting to be in my upper 40s. Kids are getting older. Is this the time that I need the much bigger house? I don't know, because we've kind of passed the biggest years that I'm going to have all these kiddos running around. These are things I want you to think about, because you can derail your long-term success by kind of keep growing the lifestyle when it really doesn't even match your why and what the purpose of what you're trying to do with your finances.
Now, as much as I like to give you a hard time here, Brian, 40s is still young. In the game of life, 40s is not exactly super long in the tooth. And because of that, your money still has a lot of power behind it. Even if you're starting at zero and you say, you know what, I want to be a millionaire by the time I reach 65, and I've got a 25 or less year time horizon, you got to save a little under $800 a month. It comes into about $780 a month every month from 40 all the way until 65 to be a millionaire. But what's beautiful is if you get there and you have that $1 million, 77% was still growth. Way more than half of your total portfolio is comprised of your army of dollar bills still working upon itself. There's still a lot of juice in those pipes.
Well, I think it's interesting, because I probably gave a little tough love at the beginning of this decade, because I'm telling you, it's a fork in the road moment. If you did it right in your 20s and 30s, there's people who are brand new to the Money Guy family, watching this in their 40s, and they're like, gosh, he just hit me hard. I mean, I kind of feel like my jaw got a toothache right there.
Sore.
But then we show a slide like this where still 77% of the growth that can come from your ultimate net worth at retirement can still come from your army of dollars. Guys, it's still time. Make it happen. You still have potential to really get involved, make your money work as hard as you do. Don't let this opportunity pass you by.
All right, so let's do a little spot check. We know that Fidelity said that for a 30-year-old, they should have about 1 times their annual salary saved. Now, what's Fidelity say for someone who's 40?
They say 3 times.
3 times.
I mean, it is what it is. You're going to start noticing the Money Guy family starts kind of going just like we have a fork in the road moment. I'm starting to think they might be a little. I'm a financial mutant creator. I want you to have tremendous success. 3 times starts to feel a little low in my book, but we'll go with it right now.
So Fidelity says you should be at 3 times. Well, if we look at the average American in their 40s, the average median income is about $51,000 a year. Well, if you look at the average median net worth, it's about $146,000 a year. So we are close to 3 times.
It's very
right
average.
in there. It's very average.
average.
If you want to be an average accumulator of wealth, you don't get to use the Money Guy formula anymore. You have to use the true formula: age times income divided by 10. An average accumulator of wealth in their 40s ought to have a net worth of around $231,000. But I don't think that's quite enough.
No, let's talk about that top 25%. The financial mutants, what are they doing? They make a little bit more money. They're right under $89,000. That's the top 25% income. Their net worth is right around $402,000. And then, but here's the thing. And look, I'm going to pick on even my financial mutants. We have it's 402,000, but the prodigious, if you want to have 2 times, if you take the formula, Millionaire Next Door formula, you take the income of 88,000 times your age divided by 10, we're showing that this thing should be right under $800,000. There's some work to do. So just focus on building those assets,
You know,
guys.
what this shows me is like in your 40s, you may not quite be there yet, but you should be approaching millionaire status if you want to be one of the financial mutants. This is kind of where you might make that cross into 7-figure territory.
Well, and I don't mind sharing it. I always had the goal when I hit 30, I wanted to make $100,000 income. I didn't make it. I think I missed it by about a year on that one. When I was 40, I wanted to be 7 figures, meaning over $1 million, liquid net worth, not counting housing. I wanted it to be investment assets. I missed that by less than a year, but it was still, I missed it by a few months. It is something that I think it's good to be aspirational. Give yourself goals of what you want to do in your 30s, what you want to do in your 40s, and that way you have something to measure yourself by. That's why you got to be doing these annual net worth statements.
Yep.